Hello, my dear brothers and sisters. Finally, we are going to see light at the end of a long tunnel. Yes, you have guessed it right. The Sanatanis are going to have a darshan of Ram Lalla in his birthplace after a struggle of 500 years. During those 500 years of struggle, they were confident and had faith in their own self. Hisses and jeers of people around them never entered into their ears. Many resolute men fought the battle against Ram Mandir and cleared the path from the obstacles that were placed by the left-minded people in the society and in power. The divine power they had within helped them to clear all the stumbling blocks that were placed on their way. Apart from telling you the history of Ram Janma Bhoomi, I would like to bring to your notice a person, a forgotten name, a relentless, staunch Sanatani who withstood all the difficulties and sufferings, antagonizing even the powerful Prime Minister for the cause. A person who sacrificed his personal life for the sake of restoring Ram Lalla in its place. He is none other than KK Nair, a devoted Sanatani from a very small village called Kuttankadu in Alappuzha district of Kerala. Before I could tell you about the resilient, irrepressible KK Nair, it is better that you know the original history of Ram Janma Bhoomi, as we could see through the 500 years of battle, legal or otherwise, for the rightful restoration of the place. It is a pity what we have been taught in schools and colleges where the history that was far away from truth. Every case of vandalism in this medieval period has been documented by the people who vandalized the Hindu temples and not by the people who actually suffered. So it is better to learn the history of the places as we have seen it through the legal battles after independence. Though many temples were vandalized in this medieval period, the devotees again and again tried to rebuild them and called it with the same name as that of the original temple, so that the original orthodox methods of worship and reverence is kept intact. But they could not build it to the original size and original grandeur because they didn't have the economic might. The work of humble and inspiring devotees kept the light burning for centuries in spite of repeated attacks, and the attackers could not demolish the devotion and culture of this land. They were so devoted to their deity and kept their faith that they can revive it. Ram Janma Bhoomi is a site which the Hindus got back after 500 years of fight through court. During this period, they did not have the power and a Masjid has been built over there. The Hindus never yielded to the pressure of external forces and continued their worship in that piece of land and continued their fight to get back the site in dispute. Hindus never surrendered to the mighty forces. The original temple was destroyed by Babri in 1528 and the place was ravaged and wrecked, but no mosque was built there during Babur's period. The evidence for this argument in the courts in the independent India were the writings of William Finch, an English merchant. William Finch, in the service of East India Company, came to India along with Captain Hawkins around 1600 during the period of Jahangir to establish trade relations between India and England. This merchant has mentioned in his diary about the places he had visited, like Delhi, Ambala, Sultanpur, Ayodhya and Lahore, and wrote a detailed accounts of these places. According to his writings, he is the witness to the location in Ayodhya called Rama's Fort, the present day site of Ayodhya dispute. He neither mentioned about the existence of a mosque there, nor he mentioned it as the birthplace of Rama. But he has mentioned in his diary that he saw the ruins that were thought to be Rama's castle. And he has also mentioned that the temple that he had perceived as ruined should have been built 400 years back. Though our history has been manipulated to show that the Babri Masjid was built by Mir Baqi, the commander of Babur in 1528-29, Finch did not mention about the mosque, and he has mentioned only about the ruins of the temple there in 1600. He provided the first evidence to the fact that Rama Temple was there before it was demolished. Another evidence that was placed before the court was the writings of Joseph Tiefenthaler, a Jesuit missionary. He came to India in 1759 and lived for 40 years in India, and he died in India. He stayed in this Awadh region for about 7 years. He has left behind several maps, plans and sketches drawn by himself about the present Ram Janma Bhoomi site. In his writings, he has mentioned that the Hindus visited the site daily and revered this place. He has also mentioned that there was a cradle in this place around which the Hindus circumambulated because they believed that it is the birthplace of Rama and they revered Rama as a child here. He has also mentioned that the Hindus thronged this place in thousands during Ramanavami. He was another eyewitness to the presence of Hindu devotees at this particular site. In 1822, an officer of the Faizabad district court files an appeal that Babri Masjid was built on Rama Janma Bhoomi, and this marked the beginning of the long legal battle. 1853 recorded the first instance of religious violence near this site. The princely state of Awadh was annexed by the greedy British rulers in blatant contravention of existing treaties in 1856. The British took over the control of whole of India after 1857 revolt. In 1859, the British officials intervened in the Ayodhya dispute and erected a fence to separate the places of worship. The inner court was to be used by the Muslims and the outer court by the Hindus. After this, several cases were filed in the British courts for and against Ram Janma Bhoomi by the Hindus and Muslims between 1857 and 1947. All the British court records were intact. Muslims kept objecting, but they could not provide any proof for their claim. Moreover, in all the British revenue records, this place is mentioned as Janmasthan. In 1885, a Hindu devotee, Raghubir Das, filed an appeal in Faizabad district court seeking permission to build a canopy outside the Babri Masjid structure. Court has rejected his petition. In 1934, the slaughter of a cow ignited the scratchy sentiments between Muslims and Hindus, and Babri Masjid was attacked for the first time. This is the real history of Ram Janma Bhoomi till independence. After independence, the dispute rose again, and the hero of this dispute was none other than the person that I am going to tell you about in this video, Sri KK Nair. Kandankalathil Karunakaran Nair is a name deeply engraved in the history of Ayodhya movement. This brave ICS officer played an unforgettable role in reinstating the fundamental right to worship of the Hindus in the Rama Janma Bhoomi before India became a constitutional republic in 1950. Born on September 11, 1907, KK Nair began his life from Kuttanad, a small village in Alappuzha district of Kerala. After completing his education in Kerala, he went to England for higher studies. He passed ICS, that's Indian Civil Service examinations, at the age of 21. He joined as a civil servant in Uttar Pradesh in 1945 and became the Deputy Commissioner cum District Magistrate of Faizabad on 1st June 1949. In December, on 22nd night, an idol of Ram Lalla appeared in the temple. Hindus were elated, but Muslims insisted that the Hindus crept inside the premises and kept the idol of Rama and Sita there. It was told that a Bhakta had a dream that Swayambhu Murti of Sri Ram is coming up from under the ground and that Ram Lalla was back in the temple underneath the central dome of the mosque at his rightful place. Ram Lalla was in the temple at midnight, but the event was not reported till 9 in the morning. But people started thronging to the place from 5 a.m. By 9 o'clock in the morning, 500 to 600 people had gathered around the temple premises. Shakuntala Nair, wife of our hero Sri KK Nair, played her part. She led the bhajan and kirtan outside the entrance to the Babri Masjid, effectively creating a deterrent so that nobody could go inside and remove the idols. The Mahants, the Hindu devotees, started Ramayana path in the premises in front of the mosque. Large crowd gathered there. There was a visible unease between the two sects. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru ordered the Chief Minister of that state, Govind Pant, to look into this, and Pant entrusted this job to KK Nair. As a district magistrate, Nair entrusted this to his assistant, Gurudat Singh, to file a ground report on the Ayodhya issue. On October 10, 1949, Gurudat Singh sent a report to Nair unambiguously recommending the construction of a grand Ram temple at the site. His report was, as per your orders, I went to the spot and inspected the site and inquired all about it in detail. Mosque and the temple both are situated side by side, and both Hindus and Muslims perform their rites and religious ceremonies. Hindu public has put in this application with a view to erecting a decent and Vishal temple instead of a small one which exists at present. There is nothing on the way and permission can be given as Hindu population is very keen to have a nice temple at this place where Bhagavan Ramachandraji was born. The land where the temple is erected is a Nazul, that is a government land. On the basis of this report, Nair issued an order that Muslims are barred to enter into the area around 500 meters of radius from the idol of Ram Lalla. He did not stop with that. He issued another order that the daily pujas and expenses for the pujas and the salary to the archakas should be borne by the government. These orders withstood all the onslaught and followed even today. On December 22, 1949, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Govind Pant on the instructions of Nehru, ordered Nair to expel the Hindus from the temple of Ram. But Nair refused to implement the order. He pointed out that the real stakeholders are the Hindus and they were performing pujas as per their religious belief. And so, evicting them would lead to riots and bloodshed. On December 27, 1949, he wrote a letter to the Chief Secretary, Bhagavan Shahi, stating that I would, if the government decided to remove the idols at any cost, request that I be relieved and replaced by an officer who may be able to see a better solution, a merit which I cannot discern. For my part, I cannot, in my discretion, which is the only legal sanction, begin my action in this matter. He also added that the idea of removing idols, which was offered as a solution, would cause nothing more than widespread suffering, which will entail to many innocent lives. Nehru got annoyed at these developments and Nair was suspended from service. Nair filed a case against his suspension by the government and won the case in his favor. He rejoined the service as an IAS officer, but by this time he has become an eyesore to Nehru. All sorts of troubles and hindrances were made in discharging his official duties. So, Nair resigned the post of IAS officer and started practicing as a lawyer in Allahabad High Court. There was chaos and visible communal tension everywhere. The government decided to call the Masjid premises a disputed property and locked its gate. The Ram idol remained inside. Though Nehru ordered that the idols be removed, the court restrained the order and allowed the pujas to continue. Restoration of the mosque was left unanswered and the issue was kept pending in the court at Faizabad. In effect, the mosque was shut down. Nair refused to bow down to the Aurangzebi dictates of Nehru. His open defiance, resistance and confrontation with Nehru and his firm stand to ensure justice to the millions of Hindus earned him a place in the hearts of the people. People affectionately started calling him Nair Sahib. He and his wife Shakuntala Nair were very earnest in the effort to build a Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. To quench this thirst, they both joined Jansan. Shakuntala Nair became a member of Uttar Pradesh Legislative Assembly in 1952. In 1962 third Lok Sabha elections, Nair contested from Bairach and his wife contested from Kaisarganj and won the elections comfortably. To add insult to the injury to the Nehru family, Nair's driver also contested from Faizabad Assembly constituency and won the elections. The hearts of Nehru's family was shimmering with hatred against Nair's family. During emergency, Indira Gandhi arrested both Nair and his wife. There was a huge dissent and uprisal against this act of Indira Gandhi, and Indira, fearing people's wrath, released both of them from jail. Nair wanted to spend his last days in his native, and he, against the wishes of the natives of Awadh region, went back to Kerala in 1976 and passed away on September 7th of 1977. The right-wing people of Kerala built a memorial to this gentleman on a land donated by Vishwa Hindu Parishad. His ashes were brought to Ayodhya and the urn was placed in a chariot. It went around the city and his ashes were finally dissolved in the Sarayu river. A trust was formed in his name, and even now KK Nair Memorial Trust is providing training for civil service aspirants and scholarships to students besides doing many social activities. From independence, To the next 3 decades, Sri Nair kept the Ayodhya dispute light burning and believed that Ram Temple would come up one day on this site. Nair chose to tread the difficult path of standing up to protect the right of worship of the Hindus, putting his post and position at stake. Ram Janma Bhoomi movement, spearheaded by KK Nair from independence, was later continued by leaders like LK Advani, Ashok Kumar, Kalyan Singh, Vinay Kartyar, Uma Bharati, and so many others. Although KK Nair is no more in this mortal world, yet his contribution to the movement will be cherished for years to come. A committee was formed in 1984 to build a temple, and Vishwa Hindu Parishad laid the foundation for the Ram Temple in 1989. Many political rallies and marches were held as a part of this movement, including the Ram Rath Yatra led by BJP Supremo LK Advani. Ayodhya cell under the Minister of State for Home Affairs was constituted by the Prime Minister VP Singh in 1990 to mediate between the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the Babri Masjid Action Committee on the Ayodhya dispute. And Kishore Kunal, a former IPS officer, was appointed as the officer on special duty Ayodhya exclusively for handling this issue. In his 800-page book, Ayodhya Revisited, Kunal has analyzed the historical documents and he has drawn a conclusion that Babri Masjid was built by Emperor Aurangzeb, not Babur. On August 14, 1989, Allahabad High Court ordered maintenance of status quo in respect of the disputed structure. The Babri Masjid was destroyed during a political rally on 6th December 1992, triggering riots all over the Indian subcontinent. During the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992, 3 inscriptions were found. The important one was a 5 by 2 meter slab. This is called as Vishnu-Hari inscription. In this slab, there were inscriptions written in Nagari, a Sanskrit script of 11th and 12th century, and the archaeologists have dated it back to 1140. These 20-line inscriptions mention thus this temple was dedicated to Vishnu, the slayer of Bali, and the 10-headed one. Dr. K.V. Ramesh, the famous epigraphist and Sanskrit scholar who served as Chief Epigraphist and Joint Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, deciphered the inscriptions found in Ayodhya. Subsequently, the land title case was lodged in Allahabad High Court. The Allahabad High Court ordered for excavations by ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India. 2 excavations were carried out at this site. In the year 2003, ASI submitted its report finding evidence of the presence of a temple under the mosque. Muslim organizations disputed the findings. These excavations revealed that the site was occupied from 2nd millennium BC and brought out a series of sacred structures including a Shivalinga. These excavations declared that there was a temple in that site in the 10th century and it was destroyed. They have come out with a finding that a Ram temple was built here in the 12th century and it was again destroyed by Babur in the 16th century. This fact coincided with the writings of William Finch. On September 30th, 2010, a 3-member Allahabad High Court ruled that the 2.77 acres, that is 1.12 hectares of Ayodhya land be divided into three parts, with one third going to the Ramlalla or infant Rama represented by Vishwa Hindu Parishad, one third going to the Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Waqf Board, and the third going to Nirmogyakara, a Hindu religious denomination. While the three-judge bench was not unanimous that the disputed structure was constructed after demolition of a temple, it did agree that a temple structure predated the mosque at the same site. Whenever there is a mosque, there will be a Waqf committee to maintain and upkeep the mosque and its property. Allahabad High Court observed that the absence of Waqf is a fatal flaw in the Babri Masjid case. But within a year, on May 9, 2011, on appeal, the Supreme Court stayed the Allahabad High Court verdict on the Ayodhya land dispute. In 2011 December, the parties moved the case to the Supreme Court. The five-judge Supreme Court bench heard the title dispute cases from August to October 2019. The daily hearing went on for 40 days, totaling 180 hours. Hindu parties took 15 days to present their case. Muslim side took 20 days to argue their case. 5 days were kept for rebuttal of claims by both sides. On 9th November 2019, the Supreme Court, headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, announced their verdict. It vacated the previous decision and ruled that the land belonged to the government based on tax records. It further ordered that the land be handed over to a trust to build a Hindu temple. It also ordered the government to give an alternate 5-acre tract of land to the Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Waqf Board to build the mosque. On 5th February 2020, the Government of India made an announcement for a trust named as Sri Ram Janma Bhoomi Tirth Kshetra to reconstruct a Ram temple there. It also allocated an alternative site in the Danipur, Ayodhya to build a mosque to replace the Babri Masjid that was demolished in 1992. In August 2020, Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone for the construction of Ram Temple, which will cost around 1,800 crores. The Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Waqf Board formed a 15-member trust to look after the construction of the mosque. The long journey of 500 years, the struggle, the fight for dignity is finally coming to rest and a jubilant mood is setting in. With so many events down the line, numerous people involved, countless sacrifices, the right to build a temple at the birthplace of Sri Ram has been restored. The whole dispute of Ayodhya brought to light the twisted leftist stories about our culture. The culture, civilization, ethos and the heritage of the Hindus stood the horrendous onslaught of the leftist rulers, historians, politicians and speakers, and this was possible only because of Hindu devotees' devotion to the deity. At last, we are having a Kumbhabhishekam of the deity on 22nd January 2024. This event marks the victory of the patience, perseverance and tolerance of the Hindus, and it is a great landmark in the history of India. Let us rejoice and celebrate. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Hind, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Namaskar.